Please welcome to the stage the next speaker, as she reveals the key to adaptive leadership for building resilience.
Salute and merhaba. Merhaba in Turkish and Arabic means that there shall be no harm from my side to you. It means that. And I think that's the least we can promise to each other, one and each other in these, rather challenging times, or as AmCham nicely put, fast-paced, changing world. So I'm here today to go over this adaptive leadership and resilience. When I was invited to take part, the topic really made sense. I said, what such a relevant topic AmCham is touching on, because yes, we are all asked to lead not only the organizations and the people, but also ourselves in a changing world. Then, the topic is really close to my heart because, I'm knee-high, knee-deep, dealing with resilience, adaptive leadership, and change. But then it dawned on me. I thought about my grandmother. She was born in Pristina. I believe it's now in Kosovo. So, I thought about her and said, okay, well, she was born in the 1900s. She saw 2 world wars. She witnessed the end of Ottoman Empire and the Balkan Wars. She had gone through the Spanish flu, the Great Famine. She migrated to then Ottoman Empire and, had to start over to learn similar but not so much culture. So I said, maybe it's not the change per se that we think that nowadays it is challenging, but our narrative around that. How we interpret those changes, and how we feel that there shouldn't be any change or that we should be comfortable. Yes, we have achieved a lot in the last 200 years or 300 years. We have developed, not only in an industrial manner, but I tend to believe that, in a humanistic manner as well. Well, we have some work to do, obviously on that front. But we also gained some kind of vanity in time. When we conquered, developments and achievements, I think that we started to think that we can not only manage, but control anything and everything as to our wishes. Including the time. We think that we are endless, we are invincible, and going back to Alex's presentation, well, that is the only truth that we all know when we are born. We're all going to die eventually, at some point. So it's not about controlling the time or the things, but maybe the question here is, how am I going to, live with them, go through with them? Because controlling means or requires that we assume everything is black and white. We know everything, for sure. We can rely on the techniques and the solutions that worked well in the previous years, and we tend to repeat them, trusting that everything is within our comfort zone. Well, it is nice to be feeling comfortable. We all need that, that coziness, that warmness, because that is the essential psychological needs. But we should be aware that the only thing we can be certain nowadays is that we don't know what we don't know. There's this concept of black swan. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but up until someone saw a swan that was black, no one imagined that there could be such a thing called black swan. So world is proving, yet over and over again, that there are so many things we are going to face. We haven't imagined, we haven't thought of, and we will face with those, eventually, either us or our children or the next generations. So I think the only thing we can trust is that I don't know everything. So that puts me in a, not maybe too much a zone where I feel confident a lot, but I need to be curious, what might come next. I mean, we have all went through that, recently COVID era. I wasn't expecting this. I was living in London at the time, and I was telling to my mom that, oh no, come on, mom. I mean, the world has gone through such big flus and illnesses. It shall pass. Let me give it 2 weeks. And then it didn't. So it is a teaching, actually. It is a learning if we choose to learn. Now, the challenges we are facing today are even more challenging. We feel that they are more challenging because they are multifaceted, multi-layered, and they are coming up in a highly complex and dynamic nature. One thing I do here will have an implication or a consequence in my life, in your lives, in some other country, in some other nation, in the societies. Alex mentioned about divided societies. Sadly, we still tend to believe that it's black and white when it comes to our problems, so we need to solve them, regardless whether we are harming some other, society or not, or making them even more become less privileged. Because the fixes, the solutions that we are all used to, they belong to technical problems. Okay, they are maybe not always easy fixes, but they are defaulted solutions. 10 years ago, this and this worked, so I assume that it shall work for the next time. But I think we all realize, either instinctively or through our rationale, that that is not the case anymore. What we are facing is what Ronald Heifetz referred to as adaptive challenges, meaning there's a gap between where I stand about my espoused values, about my expected assumptions, and the reality I face. So the world is inviting us, it's not only the change, but the nature of the change, that it is inviting us to take a step back and look at ourselves, look at our identities, who we are, our commitments, our purposes, and what type of a legacy I want to leave this world with, and what is the gap that I'm expected or invited to fulfill. David, in his presentation, mentioned that it's a transformative leadership. I agree. We all need to go through that transformative journey as individuals. So I'm very glad that Alex also mentioned about heroism debt, because that's what I'm going to say. That type of leader who is a hero, who knows it all, does it all alone, never fear from anything, is not valid anymore. Okay, it's not the leadership that we require, or it will not help us to not even try but survive. We need a different kind of leadership who will bring, or which will bring people together. Those people who may not even have the slightest idea that they will put their hearts on a matter, on that topic. The leaders should bring people together that may not know each other, that may have very diverse backgrounds, diverse interests, diverse way of thinking. I mean, as HR professionals, you may have heard about neuroscience or neurodiverse thinking. That is also a valid concept, not only in the thinking, but as well as in how we feel, how we react. So the new kind of leadership, adaptive leadership, will have to bring people together over a course that is full of unknown choices. So we are invited, all of us, to unite people, to mobilize people, to go on a journey, to go over a path that is also unknown to us. So it is a lack of competence in a way, which may indicate a lack of confidence, but I think we should trust the journey, that we're all on this together. So the type of the leader, adaptive leadership is inviting us, is that you are not the leader anymore, but you are one of the leaders or one of the individuals who will unite and create a co-emergence. co-create together, you will just inspire the others. Yeah, I mean, if you are all up for that, adaptable leadership, you will have the accountability or responsibility to let other people that, hey, this might be a different approach here required. Let's look at it from a different angle. And I trust that we'll all come together. I don't know what I don't know either, but let's figure it out together, kind of a leadership who will bring people together. Now, Heifetz again says that if you want to do that adaptive leadership, if you are with me so far, if I had managed to inspire or shed a even little spark in your hearts, then you should know two things. One of them is that please, please, please get rid of that illusion that the systems we are working in or living in are broken. Instead, just be curious and try to understand why they are functioning the way they are. Because obviously they serve to a group of people, they serve to some communities, they have a reason why they are in such a state. Not every time when we face with bad results, they're not always originated by bad people, but by sometimes, people who are not up to their expectations or who are not becoming authentic enough. So the first suggestion from Heifetz is that please, please think about the system as something to be explored, to be diagnosed. And the second is never, never, never do it alone. We're not after self-sacrificing leaders. Yes, there's a concept called servant leadership, and I am one of those, but that shouldn't mean that I'm going to sacrifice myself, my family most of the time, my children, my relatives, my parents, my friends. That is not what is meant by adaptive leadership. Yes, it is tough and challenging. That is why Heifetz and that concept asks us to, mobilize people, to bring people alongside, not by the power of authority or the title, but by, making a promise, making a commitment, by, speaking to the hearts of those people, not only the minds. Because when we do that, then we will create a leadership which will connect one and each other. David was referring to the talent, right talent being on the right spot. I think that is our role as an adaptive leader or as any leader, in these days. We need to empower people or help them tap onto their unknown, undiscovered, untouched talents, interests, curiosities, and instincts, inherited knowledge. Because not everything we learn are through schooling or education. I am a true believer of education, but I'm also a believer of, trusting our intuition, our gut feelings. My granny, whom I mentioned, she hardly read and write, but she was the most wise person I have ever known. So that is this, because she trusted her instincts. That is what, adaptive leadership is calling us to do. We need to diagnose, just take a step back and say, okay, what's going on here? What might be even better if we did this? Be honest about things when they're not going well, or they are creating consequences that are not aligned with our intentions or our values. Then mobilize people, try to bring them, try to encourage them with courageous integrity. Not with forcefulness, but with an integrity that will be an inspiration to them by role modeling. Then see yourself how you stand in that system, whether you have a good impact or not, and then have a commitment without getting too attached. Like, I am coming from Turkey, and I think you would appreciate this when I say we don't want leaders who are just stubborn and stuck at their positions, but we want them to lead the way for the others. Now, where will I get the strength, the resilience? Definitely not by the old habits, like believing that I need to be firm, I need to be tough, I'm invincible. No, just just the opposite. I think our resilience is best unleashed when we accept our vulnerabilities. Because it is the capacity, it is our adaptive capacity, the resilience, and it needs to be nourished, I agree. But we should start from a point of, okay, I'm human, I'm only human. I love that song, by the way. I'm only human, I can make mistakes, but that is where I would start. I have a potential to go, and that is not only my right, but also my accountability to reach the best version of myself in life. And how we nourish resilience, it's a resource, by the way. We all have it. It's not like Moldovan people have, Turkish people have less, or women have, men do not. We all have it. It's like a muscle. We need to just, practice so that it gets stronger and stronger. The first one is perspective. Having a different perspective, because if I stand here and look at this direction only, then I will probably miss a lot of the other opportunities. Going back to Alex's presentation, opportunity cost is the biggest cost indeed. So I better ask myself, okay, what might be a healthier and undeniable truth that I might be missing here? Not to self-doubt, but think that there are some other possibilities that I may not see directly because of my assumptions or my habits or my default thinking. The second is to be always curious, like a child, ready to learn, enjoy even if you fall down, then learn how to stand up and maintain that curiosity. Because we will need to be facing the unknown all the time. And the other thing that will definitely nourish our resilience capacity is to have rests. We need to rest. We need to take a breath. We need to say that, okay, before I jump into that next unknown thing or ambiguous thing, let me just rest and have a time with a friend, within my safe zone, within my, doing the things that I really enjoy doing. What Alex told about, we can do these things, the talent can do these things in Moldova, it resonated me a lot. Because in Turkey, a lot of talent, or maybe not always talent, but they are leaving the country. There's a brain migration, a serious one. And I just remembered Isaac Asimov's, the author's, one of the sayings, definitions about happiness. He said that perhaps happiness is not doubting or not questioning where you are, whether you need to be somewhere else, you need to be someone else, or you need to be doing something else. Maybe it's just being present. And I think there's value in being present, not worrying about the past, not getting anxious about the future. If we want to build our resilience to take care of the next challenge, that will definitely come. Daunting, well, yes, a lot. It is a hard work. But rest assured that humanity, human beings, we have done that so many times over the last decades so that we can all be standing here as we are today. Thank you.